Welcome back, Tigers. This is part 1 of the MailChimp to Salesforce Integration 9-part series. The entire series will show you how to solve the common business problems I'm sure you're running into. For example, how to sync unsubscribes and bounce backs between MailChimp and Salesforce, or how to sync campaigns and campaign members with their statuses. These features are not available within the MailChimp integration app. We will show you how to extend the integration using Salesforce Flow. In this video, we will show you how to install and configure the MailChimp AppExchange package and explain in detail how the integration works between the two applications. You will learn how to set up queries that will tag your contacts in MailChimp and how to use segments to filter for contacts based on Salesforce custom fields. We will also show you how to test and trigger the sync to the MC Subscriber and MC Subscriber Activity Custom Objects in Salesforce. If you're looking for a quick start guide, check out the how-to article in the description below from Blue Ninjas. It will show you the high-level steps to follow, but it will not go into detail on how the integration works or how to test and trigger the sync. Now let's hop over to the AppExchange and learn how to install the MailChimp integration app. So here we are at the AppExchange. You can find the link down below in the description to this MailChimp integration app. We're going to click Get It Now to install it into our developer sandbox. We're going to click Install in Production. If you're installing this into a sandbox, you will click Install in a Sandbox. We will enter our credentials. We will then install for all users. We will grant access to third-party websites. And we receive this message. So this means that it's just going to take a couple more minutes to install the package, and we'll wait for the confirmation email to come through. Okay, we just received our confirmation email, and we can see that our MailChimp integration app has been successfully installed here, so we're all set to go. Our next step is going to be to go to our app launcher and go to the MailChimp for Salesforce app. We will then click on MC Setup. And then here we need to log in. We're going to log in with our MailChimp credentials. We'll then click Allow. And then we'll enter our Salesforce credentials. Now you want to make sure that you are using the credentials for an integration user or an admin integration user that is not going to be deactivated. You cannot change the user once you install this package and configure these settings. The only way to change the user is to uninstall and reinstall the entire MailChimp package. We are going to show you how to bolt on a lot of flows and other things to this package, which you will have to delete if you ever want to uninstall this package, because it's all dependent on the MailChimp package components. So make sure that you're using a user here that you're not going to need to deactivate in the future. Okay, so we're all set. So you saw that I did get an authentication error there. I've never seen that before. So I just went ahead and entered my MailChimp credentials, Salesforce credentials again, and everything was fine. So it just looks like there was an API connection issue there with the package. Okay, so now we're on step 2, lead creation. You have to make a choice here if you want to allow MailChimp to create leads in Salesforce. Now, if we check this box here, right now, what's going to happen is that every single email address that exists in MailChimp that does not exist in Salesforce is going to create a lead record in Salesforce. You may or may not want that to happen. I'm guessing you don't, because some of those email addresses I'm sure exist as contacts in Salesforce. So what we recommend that you do is you don't check this box right here, right now. You can enable this setting later. So if you do enable the setting later, it is not going to create leads for every single occurrence of an email address in MailChimp. If it doesn't exist in Salesforce, it will only create leads for new subscribers who are added to your audience in MailChimp. So you may decide you want to do that later. I'm going to go ahead and click I am ready to map fields. And then here we're on the screen where we're going to choose how to map our lead and contact in MailChimp fields. Now let's go into our lead object in the back here. And we have a field called newsletter subscriber. This field is a checkbox that exists on the lead and it exists on the contact. This field is one of the fields that we use to indicate one of the email preferences for a lead or contact. You could have pick list fields. You may have an open text field, which we probably wouldn't recommend using. Using checkbox fields and pick lists are the best ways that you can manage preferences for people within your database. So here we're going to use newsletter subscriber, and we're going to show you how you can add this new field to MailChimp and then map the lead field and contact field to the MailChimp field. So right here we have a section that says add new audience field. What this means is that we're going to, whatever we enter here, is going to create a brand new field in MailChimp for us. I'm going to select the field type, and you can see I don't have a choice of checkbox here. I only have text. So if you are mapping a text or checkbox field from Salesforce to MailChimp, you have to use the field type of text here, and then we'll look for the word true or false in the value. So we're going to call this newsletter subscriber. I'm not going to make this field required. I will add it, and then I can map it to my lead and contact fields. All right, and then I'll save that. Okay, now on this page, you are given a little wizard here that you can go through that will tell you about all the different sections of this page. On this first tab called Audiences here, you'll see that this is where we can sync our audience. So we have a couple of different sync settings to choose from. One is you don't want to sync at all. So this means that this sync is controlling the sync from MailChimp to Salesforce, not the other way around, not from Salesforce to MailChimp. So if you don't want to sync anything from MailChimp to Salesforce, which that's the whole point of this video, you don't want to choose do not sync. Sync subscribers only means you want to sync the people. So you only want to sync the lead and contact data. If you want to keep activity or keep all activity, that means this is all the MC subscriber data or MC subscriber activity that we're going to see. So there's two objects that are populated with data in the MailChimp package that we're going to be looking into. MC subscriber activity and MC subscriber. So if you want to see all those opens and clicks and all the campaign activity engagement within Salesforce, you'll want to keep activity for a certain amount of time or keep all activity. Depending on how much storage you have, you may be able to keep all the activity, but you can keep an eye on this and see how long you can keep your activity for. Next, right here, we can decide whether or not we want to create leads from MailChimp. I'm going to leave that turned off. We can see how many fields are not mapped, when our last sync occurred, how many subscribers we have, and how many unsubscribers we have. Now, if you have more than one audience, MailChimp does recommend that you only have one audience per MailChimp account. If you have the same people in more than one audience, that becomes problematic when you're managing unsubscribes and subscribes and different email preferences for those subscribers. So I'll provide a link to that documentation in the description below so you can take a look at that. Our second tab here is member queries. So this is where we're going to write a query that's going to control how Salesforce syncs to MailChimp when new people are added. So you can decide that you don't want to push every single person in Salesforce to MailChimp because you are paying for your contacts in MailChimp. So you don't want to have people in there who have left their company that they're working with, or maybe they're unqualified. Maybe there's spam or bad data. So if you're updating your records on the Salesforce side to be labeled as spam or labeled as left company, we can filter those out from the sync to MailChimp so you can control the number of contacts that are over there. So let's learn how to write a query that's going to control how we're syncing our leads and contacts over to MailChimp. So first you're going to choose your audience. You'll click Next. And then you're going to choose whether or not you're going to sync leads, contacts, or campaign members. I'm going to sync contacts first. And then I'm going to choose newsletter subscriber equals true. I also only want to sync over people who have an email address. So email is not equal to blank. If you have any other fields here, status must be active, left company must be false, any of those, you can add those here. I'll click Next, and it says that no records match my query at this time. So let's go ahead and update a contact to have newsletter subscriber equal to true. So I'm going to go to David here, and I am going to check the newsletter subscriber field. Okay, so now we'll go back to our query, and I'm going to click Next again. And now we see David pop up here. Click Next, and then I'm going to label this contact newsletter subscribers. And I'm going to run this every day at 1 a.m. I'm going to run it overnight. And what this will do, it will pick up anybody who was marked as a newsletter subscriber from the day before, in case anybody updated the data. So that is going to run. If I create this query and I want to run it immediately, I can just click Run Query, and it's going to run it right away whenever I want. So if you have a mass update that you do to your database and you want to push those over to MailChimp really quickly, you can trigger your query to run immediately. So I'll refresh this, and we should see that it was synced successfully. We can see here that it's in progress. And we can see that our sync is not occurring. So it says that we need to click the data sync button in the settings tab. So let's go ahead and do that. Okay, let's click over back to our member queries. And we see that this was successful now, and one subscriber was added over to MailChimp. Now let's go look in MailChimp, and let's go look at David's profile. So we can see we're in all contacts in our audience. We're going to click on David, and we're going to look at his profile over here. And so we can see our new custom field that we added to MailChimp, and we can see that the field value is true. So any new fields that you add to MailChimp are going to show up on the profile information on the contact. You can add as many, actually there's a limit. You cannot add as many fields as you want. I believe the limit is 30 fields within MailChimp. Now our next step here is to create a segment that's going to allow us to email all of the people who have the newsletter subscriber field set to true. So let's go into segments, and we'll create a segment, and we'll call this newsletter subscribers, and we'll choose to add a filter we'll choose our newsletter subscriber field, and we want it to be true. We're going to review this segment, and we should see David come in here, which he does, and then we will save it. Okay, now we have our segment. So now let's go and create an email. So we have our email, and now we need to edit recipients, and we will see that we have a segment called newsletter subscribers. So now this email is set up to only go to the people who fit that criteria. So that's how you would set up a segment within MailChimp to send an email based on data that you have in Salesforce. Now let's go and set up a query for our leads. So we're going to come back to our MailChimp MC Setup tab. We're going to go to the Member Queries tab underneath that. We'll click New Query, and we'll select our audience again. And now in this example, I'm going to use tags to tag people a certain way over in MailChimp. So when we use tags, we don't have to create all of the custom fields over in MailChimp. So sometimes you may want to go this route. In this example, I'm going to create a new tag that's called biotechnology. And this is going to be the people who are in the industry called biotechnology within Salesforce. I don't want to sync this field over, and I'm going to have some other filter criteria that I want to filter for too. So I'll click next here, and then these are going to be leads. And so here I'm going to say my email is not equal to blank, and my industry is equal to biotechnology. And then maybe you wanted to filter for a specific email domain or a specific email address, because maybe you're wanting to control the sync from Salesforce to MailChimp. So we can say that the email address maybe equals, I'm going to say Shaggy at Blue Ninjas. We can also say use contains or starts with. So maybe you have people with one email domain that you want to sync all these people over there. So this is a great way to test out the sync and control who you're syncing. So let's click next, and let's see how many people come into this query. So I have none, and I should have some. So let's see, biotechnology. Oh, I need contains, blueninjas.com. Here we go. Okay, so I've got Shaggy and Scooby who fit the criteria for this query. Going to click next, and this is going to be leads, biotechnology, and this is really controlling the sync, right? So this is my test to control sync. I'm not going to run this daily because we don't need to. This is just me wanting to push over 2 leads over to MailChimp. Okay, so we can see that this was successful. It pushed over 2 subscribers. And if I go over to MailChimp and I look at my contacts, I should see 2 contacts added. Here we go. All right, I can see all 4 people here. And then we can see Shaggy and Scooby will have the tag for biotechnology. Perfect. Okay, now one thing that we want to point out is, let's go into these queries. And we can see that we don't really have a lot of control over how we can say this and this, or this or this. We can't do any special filter logic with any of this criteria. So to get around that, what you could do is you could create a custom field on the lead that is a formula field that's going to show true. So let's show you what that would look like. So if we wanted to stay with the biotechnology example, we want it to be a checkbox. We could say we want our industry to be biotechnology. And then our email contains blueninjas.com. And then if we wanted to look for another email domain, we could. So we could say our ands and ors in here. Okay, let's check that syntax. All right, we're good. And we do not want to add this to the page layout. Okay, so let's create another query using that field. So we're going to go to, we're going to hit cancel here. We're going to go to member queries. We'll do new query. I won't create a tag because I just want to show you this example and how it's going to work. So we'll do leads, and then we will say biotechnology sync to MailChimp equals true. Hit next. And I have Shaggy and Scooby that come up. So let's go ahead and let's make an email that ends in test.com. We'll say and we'll say Thomas at test.com, and we'll say Thomas is also in biotechnology. So this should fit the criteria of the formula field that we just created. So we're going to go to our previous step, and we will hit next, and we should see 3 people now. So you can get really fancy here with your formula fields to get around the limitations that we're seeing in the member queries within the MailChimp interface here. Okay, now let's hop over to MailChimp, and let's just see how we would send an email using tags. So if we go to our all campaigns, and then we go to this email that we started, and we edit our recipients, we will see now that we have our tag for biotechnology. So we can select either a tag or a segment to send this email to. So this will only go to the people who have been marked with the tag called biotechnology. Okay, now let's do some configuration on our leads and on our contacts. So we need to add the MailChimp sections to our lead and contact layouts. So I'm going to go to the lead layout, and I'm going to create a section that's called MailChimp. And then I'm going to go to Visualforce Pages, and these are the 3 sections that you'll want to add to your page. We're going to make this actually a 1-column section. There we go. All right, we're going to add all 3. You may find that you don't need all 3 because there's redundant information in the membership and subscriber, and you may not be using all the features of MailChimp. So we will do this same thing over on the contact. I'm going to create a new section. It'll be a 1-column section. And then we will add subscriptions, and then our membership and subscriber. Okay, and we will save that. Okay, now let's go to our MailChimp tab, and we're going to sync this audience. And we want to sync all. And so what we should see is that the data from MailChimp sync to Salesforce successfully. Okay, so we can see all 4 of our subscribers synced, so we're all good. So now I want to show you where that data syncs to. If we go to our app launcher and we go to MC subscriber, we click all here. Then I'm going to select some additional fields to display. So we'll do last sync date, the audience, member rating, member status, and that should be view subscriber in MailChimp. That should be good. We'll stay there for a sec. Okay. All right, so we can see all of our MC subscribers. So this means that these people exist in both MailChimp and Salesforce. When you click on the subscriber, you'll be able to see the member activity. So this will show any of the campaigns that the lead or contact has been a part of, meaning that you sent them an email. It will show how they engaged with those campaigns. Did they click? Did they open them? When did they open them? So let's send out a test email from MailChimp and let's see how this works. So I'm going to send to everybody. So all 4 people. Going to add a subject. I'll hit save here. And then we need to design the email. Okay, so now we're all set to send this email. Okay, we can see it was successfully sent out. Okay, we can see that there were 2 bounces and 1 unsubscribe. So let's go to Salesforce. And we're going to sync all of this activity. And we'll wait for it to be successful. Okay, so it said it just synced successfully. So now let's go ahead and look at our MC subscriber list. And we can see a couple of things happened. So we can see that the member status of David was changed to unsubscribed. We can see that this email went successfully. And then we can see that these 2 had a member status of cleaned. Now, cleaned means that it bounced. So this is a hard bounce because these email addresses are not real. So we can see that we successfully synced all of the activity that happened within MailChimp over to Salesforce. Okay, so now if we click on one of these contacts, let's click on David. We can see that David's record is linked to a contact, and we can see that David unsubscribed. Now, if we go back not back to the contact. Let's go back to the MC subscriber list. Let's go to this one. So we can see that Tiger Jones doesn't have any leads or contacts. So it looks like Tiger Jones does not exist in Salesforce at all. And so in order to make this email address link to a contact or a lead, we would need to create them. So let's go ahead and create Tiger Jones, and then we'll run the sync. So this is one thing that you'll want to make sure that you do is if you have people who exist in MailChimp that don't exist in Salesforce, and you don't want them to come in as leads because maybe they need to be contacts, you will need to import them. Okay, so we've got Tiger Jones in here with the email address. So let's go ahead and run our sync again. Okay, we can see our sync was successful. So let's go look for Tiger Jones. Perfect. And now we should see that Tiger Jones is now connected. Beautiful. So if we go look at the MC subscriber record, we can now see that this MC subscriber is tied to the lead. So we're all good there. Okay, so our next step is to check out what the MC subscriber activity does, because we can see that we're not seeing any member activity come into Salesforce, and that's because this data relies on a batch that runs. And so we don't want to wait for that scheduled batch to happen. We want to make it happen. So we're going to have to go into the developer console and run some code, which I will provide in the description below, and this will trigger the batch to happen. Okay, so what you're going to do is you're going to go to Setup, then the Developer Console, and then you'll go to Debug, open Execute Anonymous window, and you're going to copy and paste this code snippet in here. Click Execute, and then you'll go to your logs and you'll be able to see that it is processing. Depending on how many records you have, it'll take longer. And then once it's done, we can go back to our record here. We're going to click refresh. And then we're starting to see some activity. So we can see that Tiger Jones was sent an email, opened, and then clicked it, in which link was clicked from the email. If we go to our MC subscriber tab and we click all, we're going to be able to see all of the records that are coming in for all of the different contacts. We can see the action that was taken here. So lots of really great stuff. That's it. That's a wrap. We hope you gained some valuable insights into how to integrate MailChimp with Salesforce. Be sure to check out part 2, where we will show you how to sync bounce backs and unsubscribes from MailChimp to Salesforce. The standard MailChimp integration lacks the ability to update the email opt-out field on leads and contacts. If you have any questions about this video, or if you would like to see a tutorial on a different Salesforce topic, be sure to let us know in the comments below. And if you like this video, be sure to like, share, and subscribe to Blue Tiger Academy. We'll see you next time. Thanks for tuning in. Bye.